Today, I'm Sharon Faye Ilaw, applicant for teacher 1 position for Inabanga High School, Nabuad, Inabanga, Bohol. Here is my lesson plan for today's lesson. Okay, let's start the class. Good day, class. Okay, let's start the prayer. Claire, can you lead the prayer? Father, Son, the Holy Spirit. Amen. Okay, good morning, class. Okay, so how are you doing today? Okay, that's great. I can see that you're feeling good for today's lesson. So are you excited for today's lesson? Yes, that's great. That's the spirit, guys. Okay, so before we start our today's lesson, let's see first our goals for today's lesson. First, we have here our lesson objectives. Everybody read our lesson objectives. So at the end of the lesson, I am expecting that you are able to first identify active and passive voices. Second, construct sample sentences for active and passive voices. Third, hold interest on the importance of using active and passive voice in sentence construction. And lastly, show cooperation in doing the assigned tasks. Okay, so to kickstart our lesson for today, I need you to study our sentences here. So everybody, eyes here. Okay, so I need you to study the sentence, analyze the sentence construction, and see what is happening on the sentence, what is the message it's trying to convey. So you have 2 minutes for that one. Okay, 2 minutes is up. Okay, so now let's see. Okay, so let's try to read the sentences. Mary, you read the first sentence. Okay, I love you. I love you too, Mary. Okay, second. Peter, can you read our second sentence? Okay, Mary mailed the letter. And third sentence. Yes, John. You are loved. Yes, every one of us, we are loved. Okay, next. Fourth. Yes, Simon. The letter was made. Okay, so as you notice here, what can you see, or what do you see, or what is the construction of our sentence? Can you see the doer of the action? What is the action, or who is receiving the action? Okay, let's start with our first sentence. Okay, yes, John. Okay, yes, the doer of our action is I. And our verb, or our action, is love. How about the receiver? Who is our receiver? Okay, yes, we have you. Next, thank you for that one, John. Next, our second sentence. Yes, Mary, you do this one since your name is here, okay? So yes, that's right. Our doer is Mary. And our action, yes, that's correct as well. That's male. Okay, next. Yes, our receiver is the letter. Very good. Well done, Mary. Okay, next for our third sentence. Yes, Jessica. Okay, so first, okay, so our sentence, you are loved. Yes, our doer of the action. Okay, who is the doer of our action? Okay, yeah, so you're not sure. How about the receiver of the action? Yes, the receiver of our action is you. How about our action? Yes, well done, that's love. So right now, on our third sentence, we are not sure who is the doer of the action, but our receiver of the action is you, and our action is love. Okay, next for our last sentence. Yes. Okay, yes, David. Okay. The letter was mailed. Okay, so what is the action here? Yes, that's right, was mailed. How about the doer of the action? Okay, so you're not sure. Okay, that's alright. How about the receiver of the action? Yes, that's correct, the letter. So in the fourth sentence, still we do not know who is the doer of the action, but we know the receiver of the action and the action that's been done in the sentence. Okay, so as you notice in the sentences, we can identify the doer. Okay, so the doer, okay, what's the doer? Who's the doer of the action? Okay, or what's the purpose of the doer of the action? Yes, correct. Yeah, it is the one who's doing the action. Second, what other things did we try to take note of in the sentences? Yes, very good. The action is very important. And third, what else are we? What else did it ask about? Okay, yes, the receiver of the action. So these three things, the doer, the action, and the receiver of the action, these are important in recognizing the type of voice in our sentences. So we have two types of voices of our verb. First, we have the active voice. So for our active voice, our sentence starts with our doer or the subject of the sentence. So the doer starts the sentence and it is followed by our action. And if we have a receiver of the action, the receiver will be following our verb. So again, for active voice, that is subject or doer, verb, and receiver of the action. So that's the pattern or the structure of our sentence. Okay. Next, the second type of voice, we have the passive voice. So for the passive voice, that is inverted, or that is the opposite of our active voice. So instead of starting with our doer of the action, we start the sentence with the receiver of the action. So followed by our verb, and next is our followed by our verb. Then next for our verb, that will be like the additional information about the sentence. So when do we use active and passive voice? So we use the active voice if we are giving emphasis on the doer of the action, who is doing the action, and if we are certain about the action or the sentence that we are conveying. If you want to make sure that you are certain, or you want to tell everyone that you're certain of what you're saying, you use the active voice. How about the passive voice? When do we use it? Can anyone tell me, or did anyone notice when we use passive voice? Yes, very good, Claire. Yes, we use the passive voice if we are not certain of when or who is the doer of the action, just like in sentence 3 and 4. So since we don't know who is the doer of the action, we use the passive voice. Another thing, or when we use the passive voice, is aside from we're not certain, is we use the passive voice usually if this is done for journalistic writing or for when doing reports. So since we are not sure of the action, we notice in the news, they do not use active voice when they report the news. They usually use the passive voice because that is a reported speech and they are not 100% sure, or if they haven't done, to avoid accusing someone, they use the passive voice to avoid accusing someone. Okay, so next let's do an activity to check if you are able to get all the information that I just shared. So we need to group the class in two. So group 1, group 2. Okay, so group 1, so the first group, or the first one who raised her hand, will be able to answer the first question or the first sentence. So what you're going to do is you're gonna raise, or the first one who raised his or her hand will be able to answer and identify whether our sentence is an active or passive voice. So our first sentence, okay, very good, group 2. Okay, Hard Day's Night was written by the Beatles. Yes, very good, that is a passive voice. Second, yes, group 1. Okay, very good, that is an active voice. Third, yes, group 1 still. Okay, very good, that is a passive voice. Next, yes, group 2. Okay, is that an active voice? Okay, group 1, yes, you want to answer? Yes, that's correct. Group 2 is not an active voice, that is a passive voice. Since our focus here is the cookies, who is the receiver of the action. And last, yes, my car has been stolen. Yes, group 1? Yes, that's correct. That is a passive voice. Okay, now everyone, for today's wrap-up activity, or to check if everyone has really understood our lesson, on a 1/2 sheet of paper, you write there, you construct 3 sentences, each for active voice and passive voice. You do that one in 5 minutes. Okay, 5 minutes is up. Okay, everyone pass your paper, so we will be checking this one tomorrow, on our class for tomorrow. Okay, so anyone who would like to share what his or her insights about today's lesson, and when are we going to use this one? How can we use this in our daily conversation? Yes. Okay, Okay, so active voice, we use this one, that's correct. Thank you so much for that one, Mary. Yes, we use the active voice if we are certain about our sentences, if we are sure who is the doer of the action. How about the passive voice? Yes, David. Okay, yes, we use the passive voice if we're not certain who is the doer of the action and if we wanna give emphasis on the receiver of the action. Okay, so that's it for today's lesson. And for your assignment, make sure to look for news articles and cut out the sentences that shows active and passive voice and identify whether that sentence is an active or passive voice. So that's all for today's lesson and see you again tomorrow. Goodbye, class.